wanted to use
Really sure.
This is Nat Nasworth with the Christian Post. I'm here with Reverend Samuel Rodriguez at the Southern Baptist Convention, who was just talking about religious freedom for a panel for the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission. One of the things you said is that you think that religious freedom will be the civil rights issue of the next decade. Could you
Without
explain
a doubt.
that?
If not the next 2-3 decades, and arguably, unless things change, it may be the quintessential civil rights issue for the 21st century. It is what ending segregation and racial equality was for the 20th century. The number one civil rights issue.
Do the people in the pews, the churches that you speak to, do they see this as as serious an issue as you see it, or the people in this room see it?
Many of the people in our immigrant churches come from totalitarian nations where regimes muzzled the voice of conscience. So there's a greater sense of sensitivity in the immigrant community for religious liberty than those of us that have been spoiled for over 200 years here in America. So it would be hyperbole to say it is the number one issue on their totem pole of priorities, but it is an emerging issue nonetheless.
In previous interviews, you've talked about your admiration for Martin Luther King Jr. and how he's just was such a huge influence on you in your life. And so for someone like you to talk about religious freedom as a civil rights issue, I mean, that must be very huge for you.
In that context and in that biblical illusion spirit sort of application, yes. Dr. King fought not just to end segregation and racial equality, he fought for justice. And if you understand his writings, and I've had the privilege of looking at some of his personal notes, it's biblical justice, the impetus of the cross, of biblical truth, of veritas. That's what drives me to fight for religious freedom in the 21st century. If Dr. King would be alive today, if Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would be alive today, he would recognize religious liberty as the civil rights issue in the 21st century.
Because justice is at the core of what he fought for.
Justice is at the core of religious liberty. It is a justice issue.
Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you for having me.